Hello everyone. This video is intended to be a brief look at the M800 Cream Blue, which came out at the end of last year. The only really notable thing that I can come up with about this pen is that it is the first time I can recall that Pelikan really brings a lighter kind of cream colored resin to the M800 line. You look back at, much of their models in the past, 20, 30 years, you really don't see that. That's something they've reserved more for the M200 or more recently the M600 lines. When I really racked my brain, the closest I could come up with was the White Tiger, which was part of the Asia series. And you can see it has this kind of really lovely pearlescent white resin, which we really haven't seen much of since. But that's the first time I could really, and maybe only time I could come up with, where Pelikan used a white resin on an M800 size pen. When I heard of the Cream Blue, my mind kind of at first went to the M200 Cafe Creme, which also utilized a cream colored resin. But you can see here by way of comparison that the resin on that model is certainly darker than the one on the M800. Perhaps the M800's defining feature is this kind of cream blue, or excuse me, midnight blue, this dark blue resin barrel. It's complemented nicely by this dark blue ink view window, which really kind of matches well. And it's not the first time Pelikan has dabbled in this dark blue. You have models such as the Tiffany, which came out in a dark blue. You have one actually called the M805 dark blue. This was available in both 405 and 605 sizes as well. And then, of course, for a more limited run, this is the Nord pen that was done for the 25th year anniversary of that company, which was a company out of Germany. So dark blue is not something new to Pelikan. So it's nice to see it, revisited, because it is such a striking and lovely color. But this time, kind of just paired with a different resin instead of the straight up all blue. The accent pieces, all the trim is gold plated, so it gives the pen a little bit of a warm feeling, even though you have the coolness of the blue. And your nib is the typical Pelikan 18 karat nib for the M800. And unfortunately, it only comes in the standard sizes of extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. And I'll talk about that in another video. So as far as M800s go, this one is pretty standard. If you're in the market for an M800 and you like the color scheme, it's certainly, a reliable pen, a good pen, one that will perform. One thing I did notice, and perhaps it's just me being a little picky about things, but the dark blue resin here does tend to show scratches with daily use a little bit more than I'm used to with some of the other resins. That may just be me, but it's just something I happen to take note of, which I don't really recall ever being something that jumped out at me in other pens before. But not a deal breaker and nothing that would steer me away from it, but just something to consider. So that's just been a brief look at Pelikan's M800 Cream Blue.